Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Awesome. Today, we're going deep into the world of business.
Oh, exciting.
I know, right? But we're not just talking theory here.
Right.
We've got this academic text we're using as a guide, and it's packed with real-world examples.
I like where this is going.
Yeah.
Hmm.
We're talking companies like SpaceX, Tesla, the big players.
Oh, yeah, those are some good examples.
By the end of this, you'll have a much better grasp on the forces that are actually shaping how businesses operate today.
The real deal, not just textbook stuff.
Exactly. Whether you're thinking about starting a business, investing, or just curious about how the world works.
It's all connected, right?
Totally. Okay, so first things first, what is business, really?
That's a good question.
It's changed a lot over the years, hasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's not just about making a profit anymore.
Right.
That old profit above all else idea, that's fading fast.
Yeah, you hear about that less and less.
These days, it's all about what they call the triple bottom line.
Triple bottom line.
Yeah, people, planet, profit.
Oh, interesting.
Businesses are starting to understand that they have a responsibility to their employees, to the environment.
And to society as a whole.
Exactly. It's a more holistic approach,
So it's like businesses are finally seeing that a healthy planet and happy people actually contribute to a healthy bottom line in the long run.
That's the idea. And this all ties into those big concepts we always hear about, quality of life versus standard of living.
Right, right.
Like, think about Denmark and Switzerland.
Okay.
Those countries consistently score super high in quality of life.
They do.
And they do, even compared to a country like the U.S., which, obviously has a very high standard of living.
Interesting. So high standard of living doesn't necessarily equal a high quality of life then?
Not always, no. You can have all the material comforts in the world, but still be missing those essential things that make life truly good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Things like strong social connections, a sense of purpose.
Exactly. A healthy work-life balance, all that stuff.
Okay, I see how that all fits together. But what about risk? Businesses have to take risks, right? Sometimes pretty big ones.
Oh, absolutely. Risk is a huge part of the equation.
I mean, think about SpaceX back in 2002.
Oh, yeah. Good example.
Elon Musk, his vision was to colonize Mars.
That's some serious ambition right there.
Talk about thinking big. But for the investors, that was a huge e-gamble.
I mean, can you imagine?
Yeah. Putting your money into that, the potential payoff is astronomical, but the risk is just as big.
You're talking about putting all your eggs in one very, very ambitious basket.
Exactly. And speaking of big decisions, businesses don't operate in a vacuum, right?
Right.
They have to deal with different economic systems, different rules, depending on where they are in the world.
That's a key point. It's like each country has its own set of rules that businesses have to follow.
Like a different operating system.
Exactly. These economic systems, they determine everything.
Yeah.
How resources get used, how goods are produced, how wealth is distributed.
So let's say you're a business owner and you're looking to expand internationally. Knowing the ins and outs of these different systems would be super important, right?
Absolutely essential. You can't just jump into a new market without understanding the rules of the game.
It's like driving in a foreign country where you don't know the traffic laws.
Exactly. A recipe for disaster.
Right. So like Tesla, for example.
Yeah, good one.
They manufacture in the U.S., Germany, and China. Each country has a totally different economic system.
Huge differences.
And that impacts how they run their business, right?
100%. Even something as basic as hiring and firing employees is going to look different depending on where you are.
Oh, totally.
In the U.S., we have that at-will employment thing, which gives employers a lot of flexibility.
Right.
But in Germany, contracts are much more common. Employees have a lot more job security there.
So Tesla has to adjust its approach based on where they are.
They have to adapt, for sure.
It really shows you how important it is for businesses to be aware of these details, especially if they're global.
Couldn't agree more. But even beyond just the economic system, there's this whole other layer we need to talk about. The business environment.
The business environment.
Yeah, think of it like a constantly shifting ecosystem.
Full of different factors and influences.
Exactly. And our source breaks it down into 7 key influences that businesses need to be aware of.
7. Okay, lay it on me. What are they?
Well, you've got the economic, the political legal, the demographic, the social, the competitive, the global, and the technological.
Wow, that's a lot to keep track of.
It is, but each one plays a crucial role in shaping the business world.
Okay, I'm ready to dive into those.
Let's do it.
Okay, 7 key influences. So much to think about. But I guess understanding these is what makes or breaks a business, right?
Got it. It's like Knowing how to read the currents and steer your ship in the right direction.
Makes sense. So where do we even start?
Well, how about the competitive landscape?
Yeah.
Some industries are brutal. It's like a shark tank out there.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine.
Think about big tech, Google, Amazon, the giants.
Yeah, those guys are everywhere.
Exactly. For smaller companies, trying to break into that space is a serious uphill battle.
So how do they do it? How do businesses, especially the smaller ones, find a way to stand out when everyone's fighting for attention?
It comes down to differentiation. You got to find that unique angle, that special something that sets you apart from the crowd.
Okay, so like what? Give me an example.
Well, it could be a superior product, something that's just better than what's already out there.
Right, makes sense.
Or maybe it's incredible customer service that goes above and beyond.
That personal touch.
Yeah, exactly. Or maybe they focus on a very specific niche market, really narrow it down and become the go-to experts for that one thing.
So it's like finding your superpower and then using it strategically.
You got it. But even with the best product or service, things are changing so fast these days.
Oh, tell me about it.
Businesses have to be adaptable, ready to pivot at a moment's notice.
So true.
Like, think about the pandemic.
Oh, man, yeah.
Talk about a curveball.
Things changed overnight.
Exactly. The businesses that survived, they were the ones who could adapt quickly, embrace new technologies, figure out remote work, that kind of thing.
Agility was key.
Absolutely. And that brings us to another major influence, the global landscape.
Globalization, right. It's like the whole world's a single marketplace now.
Exactly. And that creates both challenges and opportunities for businesses.
Okay, how so?
Well, on the one hand, you've got access to way more markets and customers than ever before. The potential is huge.
That's the upside, for sure.
But you also have to figure out how to navigate cultural differences, language barriers, all those international regulations. It gets complicated.
So many moving pieces.
Yeah, it's like playing chess on a global scale. You got to think several steps ahead with every move.
Makes sense. But speaking of things that are constantly evolving technology.
Oh, yeah, that's the big one.
It's impacting every single aspect of business these days, isn't it?
It's the engine driving so much disruption and innovation. You can't escape it.
It's hard to keep up.
I know, right? Think about e-commerce. There's completely transformed retail.
Oh, absolutely.
And social media. And the whole marketing game has changed because of it.
For sure.
And then you've got AI coming in hot, changing everything from customer service to how products get designed.
It's mind-blowing. Cloud computing, blockchain, the Internet of Things. It seems like every day there's something new to learn.
And that's the challenge for businesses, staying ahead of the curve.
Being on top of the latest trends.
Exactly. The ones who embrace these advancements, experiment with new tools, those are the ones who'll be shaping the future.
It sounds both exciting and terrifying at the same time. But let's not forget about the human side of things. Earlier, we touched on corporate social responsibility, that people, planet, profit idea.
Right, the triple bottom line.
That's not just a trendy buzzword anymore, is it?
No way. Consumers are way more aware these days. They're demanding more from the businesses they support.
What kind of things are they looking for?
Well, they want to know that the products they buy are ethically sourced, that the companies are treating their employees fairly, and that they're doing their part to help the environment.
So it's not just about making a profit, it's about making a positive impact.
Exactly. And you know what?
Right.
It actually makes good business sense, too.
Oh, how so?
More and more people are choosing to spend their money with businesses that align with their values.
So it's like a win-win.
Exactly. It's a win for the business, a win for the consumer, and a win for the world. It's like a badge of honor that attracts customers and builds loyalty.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Economic systems, competition, globalization, technology, this whole social responsibility piece. It's a lot to take in. But why should all this matter to the average person? How does it impact our daily lives?
That's a great question. We're all part of this system, whether we realize it or not.
It's like we've been on this whirlwind tour of the business world. From economic systems to cutthroat competition, the rise of technology, and now this focus on businesses actually making a positive impact.
It's a lot to process, that's for sure.
But I think the takeaway is that understanding how business works give you a leg up no matter who you are.
Right. Like whether you're starting a business, working for one, investing, or even just buying stuff as a consumer.
Yeah, it's like having this insider knowledge that lets you make better decisions.
Exactly. Like let's say you're thinking about starting your own company.
Okay.
You'd need to be aware of things like The overall economic climate, who your competitors are, what technologies you could use, what values your target audience cares about.
It's like a roadmap, almost.
Kind of, yeah. And if you're an employee, understanding the trends in your industry can help you see what's coming next.
So you can be prepared.
Exactly. Maybe even position yourself for those jobs that'll be in high demand down the line.
And if you're an investor, you'd want to know if a company's business model is sustainable, how they're using technology, if they're taking social responsibility seriously.
You got it. Those are all critical factors to consider.
And it's not just about businesses anymore, right?
No.
Like, we as consumers have a lot more power than we used to.
For sure. We can support the companies that align with our values, knowing that our choices actually make a difference.
Our wallets can speak volumes.
Exactly. But even beyond the practical side of things, there's something kind of cool about understanding how this whole complex system operates.
I know what you mean.
It's like peeking behind the curtain and seeing all the gears turning, the connections, how everything's constantly evolving.
Definitely makes you see things differently. So as we wrap up this deep dive, any final thoughts you want to leave our listeners with?
I think the main thing to remember is this. Business is not static. It's constantly adapting to these powerful forces we've been talking about.
So sitting still is not an option.
Definitely not. If you want to succeed, you have to be agile, innovative, always thinking ahead.
Got to be ready for whatever's coming next.
Exactly. And, at the end of the day, it's not just about making a profit. It's about making a positive impact, too.
Finding that balance between success and responsibility.
That's the sweet spot. And on that note, here's something to ponder. If you were starting a business today, which of these environmental factors would you consider the most important? The economy, the competition, new technology, social values? What would be your top priority?
It's a tough question, but an important one to consider.
And hey, that's what these deep dives are all about, right? Giving you the knowledge and tools to explore these big questions, make smart choices, and maybe even leave the world a little better than you found it.
Well said. So time to resurface from this business deep dive.
Thanks for joining us.
Hope you enjoyed the journey, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive.
Keep learning, keep exploring, and keep those brains working.